So in my previous video, I shared the framework and the end results of my articles. In this video, I want to show you the behind the scene creation. So let's get into it. I use Claude Code, but you can literally use any large language model out there. And I'll be sharing with you the exact prompts and the instructions, the exact workflow that I'm following. So let's get into it. In Claude Code, you have what we call skills, which is basically your workflow. I have baked into it a series of steps I want the AI to follow in order to achieve the creation of the article. The first step, it's going to ask me, okay, do you have an article in mind? If yes, provide a title, a raw blurb, key angles, reference URLs if you have any. And if I don't have anything, I have the option to say explore, and it will generate 3 topics based on recent trends. Once that's done, it's going to reconfirm the default config. So there's things that never change from article to article, like the role, my role, the brand, the domain, my ideal client profile, the brand point of view, the call to action, the geographic region I focus on, the content channel, it's a LinkedIn article, the target length, byline. So if I was to, I don't know, in the future publish articles in my website directly or on Medium, some third-party platforms, I can definitely update this area wherever it's relevant. So in this case, I didn't have anything, so I went with explore, and it went ahead and did some research to come up with 3 ideas. And it doesn't just give me the ideas, it gives me more context, which helps me in my decision. With the sources, I can click on the sources. Can I? Yes, I can click on the sources. I had a doubt for a second there. The first option is the 21% problem. Why only 1 in 5 big companies can prove AI worked. The second one is your AI agents are already Shadow IT 2.0 and your board doesn't know. Ooh, I love this one. I really like this one. And the third one, the AI adoption gap nobody wants to talk about. Big companies are pulling ahead. I'm not a big fan of this. I don't like to promote fear, and I have written enough articles on AI adoption. Then when I scroll down a little bit, I see it creates a few hooks. So for those who don't know what's a hook, it's basically what stops you scrolling. And the more marketing experience content creators have, the better the hooks, the more creative the hooks get. So I picked Shadow IT 2. Oh, what happened there? All right, we are back in business. I accidentally pressed a button that pulled me at the bottom of the page. As you can see here, this is a very long chat as I'm redoing this video. All right, so I picked option 2 and I went with the hook number 1. Your marketing team hired 4 new employees this month. You haven't met any of them. They are AI agents. This is really interesting and it's becoming a reality. And when the article will come, will be published, you'll probably learn 1 or 2 things. So once that's done, it goes to stage 3, and this is where it creates a research pack. And what's a research pack? You can see that it goes and curates a few sources, a few URLs that it finds, and most of them are from reliable sources. You look at Gartner, everybody that works in the corporate world knows Gartner when it comes to the technology. They have leading benchmarks for vendors in each category. Like I've seen so many, like in backups, in AI, in cybersecurity, networking, in systems, in operating systems, in threat detection, you name it. McKinsey, also a trusted source. I also have the option to go and click on the links if I need to know more, if there's a topic that I need to learn more and get myself up to date. So this is a great exercise as well for me to stay on top of what's happening in the tech world, and more specifically in the AI realm. It gives me then key takeaways, so a few numbers. I like to start my articles with numbers, so that's why I specifically asked for this, like statistics and definitions and key takeaways. A few open questions and contradictions to think about. This is important because my audience is a leadership type audience. So in order to speak to a leadership type audience, I need thought-provoking questions. I need to address not necessarily the nerdy technical topic, but more on employee well-being, adoption, how can I strategize and bring this piece of technology in order to resolve this business problem and achieve this outcome. Regional nuances, and this is always interesting because I've worked for 17 years in multinational companies, and they are the most impacted by really being aware of like different regulations. For example, if you have a corporation residing in North America, but as customers in Europe, they need to abide by the EU AI Act and many other regulatory requirements and laws. IDA in Canada is known. Then it suggests visuals, so diagrams, comparison tables. It gives me some variants, quotable lines, and this is where the next stage is the author interview. So this is the secret sauce. I've talked about this in my previous video. So it asks me between 3 to 5 questions, and I will do my best to reply to those questions if I know the answer, one, but also share some stories on work experience that I have and how I would address those questions. And mind you, you don't necessarily need to know everything. And how many of you listening to this video have been in situations where you have been asked by a client or by your employer to get a job done on which you have none to very little experience? Everybody has been there, I'm sure, in their career once, right? Unless you have been really lucky. So I took some time in the initial video, I paused, and it took a good, this is really where I spend most of my time. So I share a bunch of experience. Like the first question, I share some experiences from my days at Raymond James. In some previous articles, I talk about the back in those days where I was the head of the global network for Bosch automotive brakes manufacturer, now bought by Hitachi. So once I've done this, I've answered these questions from the interview, it will save the interview file. This is to learn patterns on how I speak, how I write, in order to reuse and to be more consistent with my voice, because I use sentences that are unique to me, words that are unique to me, and stories that are unique to me. So it's really makes it difficult to have someone else create the exact content that I'm creating. And with this exact system, if you are to use it, because I'm going to give it to you, you will also achieve those results over time. Now, the next step is what it does. It doesn't create the draft right away. It creates an outline. What's the outline? The outline allows me to revisit the title, any section by section. Do I want to add images? Do I want to have like a 3-step framework? Do I want to share an outcome that potential readers will have? My call to action, I want to share as much and learn within a community. So I want to build and bring like-minded minds together. That's the ambition. So I want to make sure to close that call to action. The disclaimer, I have a transparency disclaimer saying that this is generated with AI and this is not legal or any legal or financial advice. I don't always talk about finances, but I baked both of them so that for future articles, at least I'm set. And then I have a numbered references that will be baked into the article. Instead of putting the entire link, it's always better to put just the number so that whoever wants to go see the reference, they can just scroll down and click those links. Now, after given the approval, you can see that it went ahead and fetched my written voice. So this is a specific agent. If you're using a large language model, the web version of Claude or the web version of ChatGPT or Gemini, you can achieve that in a different way. So when I'm going to share with you the prompts that I'm using, I'll share with you how you can achieve that. This is what we call an agentic system. So all I have to do is just launch that skill, and that skill is going to call multiple agents that are like employees that are going to contribute for the creation of this article. So once that's done, the article is drafted. All I have to do is just review it and approve it. So I went ahead, I reviewed it, I approved it. Then it goes to the stage 6A, which is creating the cover image, generating the diagram. So what happened is I didn't like the diagram and the image, so I asked it to revisit it for me. So you can see here that I put that the cover image is a bit blurry, use a different model and review the image before delivery so that it opens the image and reviews the image, doesn't deliver to me something it hasn't reviewed. The diagram, the text was a bit small and it was a bit blank. I wanted it to revise it and add my brand colors. So let me pause quickly so that I can pull those images so you get to see them. All right. The initial image was very blurry and it's this one is still some faces, there is some artifacts, but the first image had way more artifacts. It was not usable at all. So based on my small instruction, it improved it. Can it be improved more? Definitely. It's going to be as good as my instruction. Right? Now, for the diagram, I'm pretty happy with the job it did. I would, if I was to do another round of revision, I would ask it to, hey, can you put the title of each box in bold so that it stands out better? But the text is already more readable, bigger. So if I scroll down a little bit, it's still readable. So this is going to be approximately the size when I'm going to publish it on LinkedIn articles. Now let's go back. Based on this, so it's going to generate the visuals again, and then this time I approved it. Once I approve it, it's going to export the images, export the articles. It's going to capture in its memory anything that it learned, but it's going to refine my spoken voice. So I've asked it not to use my spoken voice, but because it detected that I actually dictated my answers in the interview process, it actually called it anyways. But I have specifically, this is typically when it does something that I've instructed it not to do. This is where the fine-tuning happens. So now I can go back into the instruction and say either I can repeat that instruction, either I can put it in a specific do not do section. There's multiple techniques that allows me to reinforce an instruction. Without going too much in detail, you can see here it created like the article that's ready to copy paste, the images, the diagram, the interview file, everything is in that folder. It also records the learning loop, what it learned during this process. And it also asking me, is there anything else that it can do better for next time? So this is where I have a self-improving loop that allows the system to get better over time. So first thing I say, hey, improve these for the next time, the visuals, make sure you use my brand asset. So I have a specific agent for that. Ensure that the text is readable. Review the cover image. If it's blurry, ugly as artifacts, that makes it look unprofessional. Recreate the image with a stronger image generation model. Some models are better than others. So I have like a hierarchy of models to use. Also not to spend too much on tokens. Some of them are paid models. But by default, I ask it to use the free model. And I also don't want it to always put a 4-step diagram. I want it to give some variation, differ the style, have visually appealing designs, and letting it know that lately it has been a bit monotonous and falling into AI slop. I like to challenge the AI. These are strong words, so it's going to understand that it needs to do better, especially with my self-improving, self-learning loops. So it saved all that in its memory and its knowledge. Next time it will reinforce what I've asked. Now let's look at the skill itself. So this is the format of a skill in Claude Code. This, like from here, bottom to the bottom of the file, you can literally copy that in a custom GPT, but I would recommend you not to do that. And I'm going to show you some methods to do this progressively. It's not a plug and play and you do it right away. You want all the influencers that are telling you that they have something that works like that. It's like not always. Some of them are very impressive, but I would say 70% of it is easily like a big hypes. So just be aware. So let me walk you through what's a skill for those who use Claude Code. So there is always a first what you call a font matter. The font matter is what allows the AI, the Claude Code, to find a skill quickly and call the right skill instead of reading the entire file, avoiding like the system to eat up all the tokens, all the context. So the article creator as a role, you're orchestrating a multi-stage article creation pipeline. Follow this exact order. Guardrails, I have a voice guardrail, always use my written voice, never invoke spoken voice. So we talked about spoken voice, that's where I mentioned that. Before you start, make sure you read this. This is where it gets my default variables for the article. So we got, you see, it's very similar to what we had in the chat window, right? It actually follows these exact steps. I'm not going to go through the entire step, but basically you will find the exact steps that I just walked you through minutes ago. So once it does that, it either takes the topics that you gave it, or it's going to research and give you 3 ideas of topics. Then it creates the research pack, it interviews the author, it identifies any voice signals, anything in the interview that you mentioned that would be valuable to input or to quote directly in the article. Creates the outline that gets approved. Notice that I have baked in human in the loop process, like there's lots of approval. The reason why is because I want to use this until it gets to a level that I'm completely satisfied that it's fully mature. I don't want to remove those human in the loop processes. And this is the right strategy in order to have success in whatever workflow you're implementing. It's like an employee. When you get an employee, you hire an employee, you're going to spend more time with the employee, give the employee more context, more knowledge, more documentation, and hold the employee until they can fly with their own wings. So coming back to this, so it's going to do the outline. Once you approve the outline, it's going to draft the actual article that you can review, revise with feedback, approve, or rewrite completely from scratch. Once that's approved, it creates the visuals. So you see the models that I talked about, Gemini Imagen, which is the free version, and it falls back in to ChatGPT if that one fails. The diagram. So for the diagram, I have a different tool. It uses Dravio, so it can create diagrams directly into that. It's typically these are this format is open source, but it can be opened and saved into a Visio friendly or a Lucidchart friendly format, which is nice, especially if I want to go and touch it up. Once I approve that, it's going to export it so that it gives me all the files that's ready for me to copy paste. Why I'm copy pasting it? Again, I want this process to be mature. Initially, I didn't have the image creations, but I have added that over time. So another piece that I want to add in the future would be, once it reaches maturity, is like, okay, you're doing a good job. Now I want you to do the copy paste for me, put the headlines, upload the pictures directly. So that level of automation, you can't just use any AI, public AI. You do need an agentic system with a set of very specific tools that allows you to do that with accuracy. But it is possible nowadays. It's sounds like magic, but it's true. The stage 8 is the learning loop, so it's going to update my written voice, the project memory, so that it does a better job. So this is why now I'm troubleshooting this live with you guys. This is why it called the spoken voice, because the interview file uses my voice. It's updating it as well. So it's actually not a bad idea. So I think I'm going to keep this here for now. Error handling, initially there was no error, but the more I use it, it has been adding errors at each iteration. And important notes, what not to skip, what not to do, what to always check. So I will upload this in the community. You can take it. I will strip off any personal information before I throw it in there. And when you're sharing content, I advise you to do the same. Thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if you would do anything differently. There is not a single way to do things nowadays. And if you want further help to have you set up for you to achieve this kind of result, let me know. If you're part of any of my groups or community, we can put a workshop together. I'll be glad to put that together so that I can teach you how to do it. And then if you need further help, or you want me to do it with you or do it for you, that's also a conversation we can have. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.